Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Skåne here in the south of Sweden, and we're going to revisit one of my favourite breweries from over here. So we're going to go to Brewski Microbrewery once again, and this is a beer that I'm not sure if they've done this one before actually, or if it's fairly new, but you know, with this brewery I just like trying all the different things you can find from them. So we're going to go back to Brewski like I said, and today we're having a taste of the Dolph IPA, which is a double dry hopped version, and it comes in at 6% ABV. I've just been playing football 11 aside for the first time in, you know, about a year and a half, something like that. My friend took me along to play with his team, so I thought to kind of celebrate, I would kick into one of my favourite breweries' beers. So it should be a really interesting one. This, apparently they just want to promote dolphins. I thought it might have been an ode to like Dolph Lundgren or something like that, but apparently no, they just like dolphins up at Brewski, so we can't really blame them for that. But yeah, 6% IPA this one. As we know, Brewski Brewery, IPA really is one of their speciality styles, so this one, it should be really good, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. I'm looking forward to another IPA from Brewski. It's been a while since I've had one actually. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Brewski before. You will have seen my my Brewski Pilsner review that I did for you just fairly recently actually. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brewski then. So Brewski were founded back in 2014, and like I said to you, they're based in Helsingborg in the northwestern part of Skåne here in the south of Sweden. So the founders of the company are Marcus Hjalmarsson, Johan Britsen, Alfred Olsson and Robin Skoglund, and all of these guys were really inspired to get into craft beer after trying the West Coast American style beers. Of course though, these guys have kind of morphed to be one of the big hazy IPA producers here in Sweden. But Marcus was originally associated with the High Nose brand of beer that was brewed at the Höganäs Brewery, which again is a little bit to the northwest of Helsingborg even further, and some of those beers are still brewed there, although all of the Brewski beers are now brewed at their facility in Helsingborg, and they also host their own beer festival there as well. So this one started back in 2016, and I've just been at the 2018 one this year, so that was number 3. They had a lot of different breweries there from all over the world. There's some really good American beers, there was stuff from Ukraine, there was a Hungarian brewery there, a Polish brewery as well, a couple of Estonian ones. Estonia of course a very good craft beer country these days, but Brewski seems to be really well regarded as one of the best beer festivals in Scandinavia these days. I mean, there's the Copenhagen Beer Celebration. Brewski is not too far behind that, I guess. It's a smaller festival of course than the Copenhagen one, but the quality of beer that you'll find there is really quite high. But for a period of time these guys were also opening up their brewery once a month and calling it Barski, so you could go in and drink all the different Brewski beers there. But they do now have a restaurant in Helsingborg as well, which is located one street behind the main street of course. They sell ramen there. It's supposed to be very nice, and it's somewhere that I definitely need to go and check out at some point. I've been wanting to go and try that for a little while, but now I'm back in Sweden I do have the opportunity to. These guys are producing somewhere in the region of 100,000 litres of beer per month. They're always expanding their fermentation capacity if you like, and they're probably one of the best known Swedish craft breweries outside of Sweden these days. If you go to a good beer shop in Scotland, like some of the ones in Glasgow and Edinburgh, you can find these, and I think they are starting to get a bit further afield to the likes of Australia, Japan and America these days as well. So if you're interested in Swedish craft beer and you like IPAs, you can't really go wrong when it comes to Brewski. But that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. Let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. So I'll just let you have another little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up, there you can see the dolphin. Like I was saying, when I saw the name of this one, I thought, you know, maybe it was a tribute to Dolph Lundgren, but there is a dolphin on the front. They just like dolphins. It says on the side here, Dolph Double Dry Hopped IPA. This IPA has been dry hopped to the beyond of what we ever did before. You get to follow us to the dark side of the moon. We are totally breaching new grounds of flavours. You will encounter rich tropical notes from all the hops that took the plunge into this beer. This is us showing you that we are not holding back, instead pushing the boundaries, promoting freedom, dolphins and craft beer. Just as Dolph would do, it's time to free flipper. Cheers to that. So yeah, there you can see, there's the little Brewski guy on the bottle cap of this one, just let it focus. He is also on the side of the bottle here, where you can see Brewski. They used to have Brewski Microbrewery, but they seem to change their label always a little bit. It's Brewski Craft Brewery now. It was Brewery Microbrewery or something like that for a while. My Swedish pronunciation isn't working at the moment because my voice is going. But yeah, as I say, 6% IPA. This one, double dry hopped. Without further ado, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Oh, this one doesn't want to open. There we are. Sometimes it does that. Yeah, scrape the bottle. But yeah, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting, and you can smell some of the lovely fruity quality to this one just as you open it up. So yeah, there you can see, lovely looking beer this one. One of these typical big hazy IPAs. You can see the head on this one isn't too frothy actually, it's quite a bumpy head. You just let the camera focus on that. Big bumpy head there, but you can see the haze in this beer. Look at that. That looks absolutely beautiful. Lovely looking beer. It's kind of, in terms of colour, it's quite along the lines of like pineapple juice or something like this. Yeah, pineapple juice is probably a very good description of this one. You can see the head is just faded away to be a very thin foamy layer, but not the foamiest of heads that I've seen from Brewski, right enough. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see completely opaque this one. Really quite nice. But yeah, you know, interesting looking beer this one. Looks very, very nice. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall it does look exactly as you'd expect from a sort of New England IPA. So let's have a little look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. Ooh, that smells good. That really does smell good. So first off, you're going to notice it's mangoes. There's a little bit of a kind of peachy apricot-y thing going on with this one as well. I do think Citra is one of the hops in this. The peachy apricot-y sort of thing. I'm not quite sure. There's maybe, I don't know if there's a touch of pineapple in there, maybe I wonder if they've used a little bit of Galaxy or something like that. I always remember Galaxy giving you a little bit of passion fruit and pineapple. There could be a little bit of passion fruit in this. That could also be Simcoe. Of course, Brewski don't tell you what hops they use in their beers, so I always like guessing when it comes to the beers that when they don't tell you. I always find it quite interesting. But I think there's a wee touch of passion fruit in there. You can smell that slightly darker passion fruit note to this one. But yeah, mangoes coming out. It's very, very juicy, this beer. A little bit of a sort of peachy kind of thing, I think. I want to say there's a bit of an apricot, you know. The apricot, you can definitely pick up the sort of oaty, wheaty kind of creaminess to the malt base in this one, and the apricot-y notes are coming out like that. It has a little bit of an aroma to it. It reminds me of these little yogurts that my mum used to put in my lunchbox when I was young, the Munch Bunch. I don't think you get those in Sweden right enough, but that's what it really reminds me of, these little Munch Bunch yogurts that my mum used to give me in my packed lunches. The apricot one, of course. But yeah, it's got a little bit of that in it. There's a wee bit of a kind of biscuity sweetness to the malt base in this one too. Definitely would say that. Yeah, sweet sort of biscuity aroma to this one. Definitely nice kind of creamy malt base. I don't think they've used dextrose and stuff. The oats are quite prominent, so I do think it's a straight up oat malt base for this one. Wheaty bread qualities. Yeah, it does smell like really, really nice. This one, it's a big, juicy, fruity IPA. In terms of the kind of, you know, the floral, grassy side of the hops, I'd say this one leans a little bit more towards the grassy side of things, but there is a little bit of that. There's a slight little bit of that kind of dank floral note coming out of the beer as well. But a big, juicy IPA. Mangoes, bit of passion fruit, I think, as well. Lychee, I do think there's a bit of Citra coming out of this one. There's maybe a little touch I want to say there's maybe just a little tiny bit of lime in this one as well. I don't think they've used Equinaut in it though. I think it's one of the kind of complexities from one of the other hops. But yeah, peaches, maybe a little bit of apricot I think as well. Maybe even a little bit of pineapple or something like that. So as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma. This one, you know, I don't know if maybe they could have used Eldorado or something like that in this one actually. That could be interesting. But yeah, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But let's have a taste of this one then. So this one is the Dolph IPA double dry hop version from Brewski Microbrewery up in Helsingborg in Skåne here in southern Sweden. So let's get stuck into this. I'm going to say until the next time. Slanja skål. That's really fresh. It's just at the right level of freshness though, this one, which is good. Sometimes if you get them when they're too fresh, I find, if you get them when they're too fresh, then it's, you know, you just get too much of the kind of spicy sort of floral type thing, and it sort of suppresses some of the other parts of the beer. But this one I think is just right. Yeah, that's really nice. It's got a good bit of more kind of floral quality to it than I was expecting from the aroma. I was expecting this one just to be a little bit lighter and grassy, but it's got a good little bit of that sort of floral quality to it, which is nice. I think, yeah, this one is pretty fresh actually, and it's kind of unusual that I was saying the bumpy head, and normally when it's fresh you would get a very nice foamy head to it, so it's unusual the way the head came out in this one. But yeah, as I always say, sugar it around your palate a little bit and let your whole mouth adjust, because that really opens your mouth up to the different flavours. So yeah, with this one, the malt base, I really like the way they've got the malt base in this one. You can feel that sort of wheaty, white bready quality, that blankets the middle of your tongue. On top of that you get the nice oaty creaminess. The oaty flavours I think come out a little bit more as you progress further into the aftertaste. Down the middle line of the tongue you've got a little bit of that biscuity sweetness in there as well, which is nice. The malt base I think is really nicely balanced, and I particularly like the way the oats are coming out in this one. It just it's got a little bit of that creaminess right in the centre of the palate as well. But yeah, in the back corners of the palate, on the hoppy side of things, there's a little bit of earthiness in there. Yeah, definitely a little bit of earthiness. I'm not sure kind of what hop that could be. There is part of me that's wondering if they've maybe used Columbus as the bittering hop in this one, because it's got a little bit of that almost curry powderish type thing to it, which is quite interesting, because as you come further forward on the sides of the tongue with this one, it has got a good bit of a slightly spicy floral aromatic note to it, I think, but then round the very front curve of the palate it does get a little bit lighter and grassy. But I do think there's almost an element of a kind of curry spice to it, this one, like curry powder, and that's what's making me think Columbus. I've noticed Columbus is kind of going up in popularity as a bittering hop, and I think, you know, when it comes to these double dry hopped IPAs, the double dry hopping's where you get the flavour and where you get the aroma. So I think what a lot of brewers are doing is using something like Columbus, which doesn't really have such a fruity profile, if you like. It really is more of a bittering hop, that one. They're using things like that to sort of get the bitterness that you'd want from this, but then they're using the other hops that will give you the more flavour and the more kind of fruity side of things. They're using those later in the brew to take full advantage. I think it's a way of kind of keeping the cost down a little bit, and of course with all the breweries around, there was for a period of time a hop shortage. I'm not sure whether that kind of hop shortage, if you like, is still around. But you know, if it's a case like that, it's better obviously not to use the Citron, the Mosaics and all of these kind of things as your main hop in the boil. Use them later on and get the maximum flavour that you can out of them. But I do suspect with this one there is a little bit of Columbus as the bittering hop in this one. I might be wrong right enough, but it's just a feeling that I've got. But yeah, it's nice. It's a nice beer, this one. As I say, I like the way the malt base in this one is. I like the way the malt base in this one goes together. So yeah, behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those nice juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. With this one, I think there's a little bit of passion fruit kind of just forming the linchpin of it. It could even be a little touch grapefruit, but I think it's more a passion fruit that's coming out of this one. So I do suspect there's like Simcoe or maybe Galaxy in this one. Galaxy, just from some of the other flavours, it could be Galaxy. I always remember Galaxy gives you a nice sort of passion fruity flavour, that Australian hop. I do suspect there's one of those in there. There's definitely some Citra, I think, as well. You've got the nice mangoes on top of that, so you can feel with the fruity side of things. I think it's passion fruit that's forming the linchpin of the beer. On top of that, you're getting the mangoes, and as you go further into the flavour, I think it becomes sort of peachy, and at the end you can pick up a little bit of the sort of lychee complexity that you'd expect from the Citra in this one. Yeah. I think there is a little bit of that sort of lychee in there, and again, I said in the aroma, I think there is a little touch of lime or something in this one, like just in the centre of the front palate, right at the front of my palate. There's just an almost kind of bit of a limey flavour to this one. The apricot-y flavours, they're quite subdued actually. You could really pick them up in the aroma, but not so much in the flavour. There is a little touch of an apricot-y note to this one. It is nice, and I think, you know, peaches, you can pick up a little bit of that peachy flavour as well. As I say, I think a way to summarise this one, it's passion fruit at the start, you get the mangoes on top, you start to get the sort of peachy flavours coming into this one. I think then it kind of morphs into apricot, and right at the front of your palate I think there's a little touch of a kind of limey flavour, and that kind of mixes with the lychee later on. The fruits in this one are quite nice, and there's a lot of it coming out. With the double dry hopping though, you can pick up a little bit of that. The bitterness isn't really coming from that. I think the bitterness is coming from the bittering hops, obviously, and I do suspect they've used Columbus with that one. So if I was going to be a betting man, I think it's probably the hops in this one I would go for. I think Citra, I do think there's a bit of Citra in there. I think there's maybe Galaxy in this one, although, you know, Simcoe could be another bit, but I think just from the flavours coming out of this one, there is a little bit of Galaxy in there. So I would go for Citra, Galaxy, and I think Columbus is being used as the bittering hop. There's maybe another variety in there, but which one it is, I'm not sure. I'm really not quite sure what it could be. Maybe a little bit of El Dorado or something. I've got a feeling that El Dorado is the one that you use if you want a bit of a peachy flavour to it. But it's always interesting to guess the hops. It's not one of the most important things, but I do just like doing that when I'm reviewing the beers. In terms of the mouthfeel though, you know, mid-bodied, carbonation smooth on this one. Good bit of creamy quality to it, but at the same time the mouth feels quite wet. Nice hoppy bitterness to the beer. I would reckon somewhere around the 60-ish, maybe pushing 70 IBU mark this one. Nice bit of sweetness from the malt base, but overall it's kind of smooth and quite creamy. Nice little bit of juicy fruit, and it pretty much has everything you would want from the New England style. So another interesting IPA from Brewski. It's been nice to have one of these after quite a long time actually. Does it beat Conan? As I've always told you, Conan Double IPA is my favourite one that I've had from Brewski, along with a little big hoppy. Not quite, but you know, it's solid enough. It is exactly what you'd expect from Brewski. I think that's a fair way to sum up this one. So let's leave it at that. So yeah, another interesting IPA from the guys at Brewski. They always do some really good stuff, so make sure you check them out if you get the chance. But once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Brewski as well. No doubt you will see me review more from these guys in the fairly near future. They are quite prolific, so they're always putting out different stuff there. I do need to continue reviewing the Fever series for these guys, because I had one, I want to say it was the Mango Fever or the Passion Fever, and I really enjoyed that. So will try and make sure that I get that series finished off, because I really enjoyed those beers. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out my social media and have a go at the Dolph Double Dry Hopped IPA from Brewski in Helsingborg. Until the next time, Slans just now, and I will catch you guys later. Skål. If I could turn this off.